In this Northern Brewer video, Pints with Pros, as we discuss all things Oktoberfest with Mike Lundell, head brewer at Summit Brewing Company in St. Paul, Minnesota. Mikey talks about the brewery's Marzen Style Oktoberfest, the difference between it and lighter festbier counterparts, and the reality of seasonal creep in craft beer. Plus, the joy of unfiltered lager by way of a fass keg, and tips for homebrewers who might be a little late getting an Oktoberfest into the fermenter. If you dig these Pints with Pros videos where we chat with craft brewers to learn more about brewing the beer styles we all love, be sure to like this video and share it with your favorite fest-going beer nerd. And be sure to subscribe to Northern Brewers YouTube channel because next week we're giving away a handful of Oktoberfest beer recipe kits in our new weekly video. Sikisaki, oi, oi, oi. Hello everyone, Chip Walton, digital producer at Northern Brewer. Welcome to an episode of Pints with Pros, or Pints
Where's the pro?
Well, I was gonna say this is the pint-ish. This is the
like
pro-ish.
Hi.
Y'all, Mike Lundell, brewer at Summit Brewing Company here in lovely St. Paul. Prost.
Roast.
Happy Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest is what's actually happening here. This is the kickoff release of Summit's infamous, popular Oktoberfest. But before we go over there and go into the full-on beer hall and get our brats, Oktoberfest, Polka, Foss keg on, I wanted to pull Mikey aside real quick to just talk about the beauty of all things Oktoberfest. Before we talk about any kind of beer, how you make it, how you make it, how they make it, Oktoberfest, cheers by the way, happy season.
Cheers.
It's this weird beer season, right? Like you could say it's marketing, but it's kind of like from July to not quite October, which is very ironic to me.
Seasonal creep really took hold for us back, God, I want to say like 2010 or 11, where we had Oktoberfest coming out in July, like 4th of July weekend, Oktoberfest was coming out. I mean, that year we had just released a beer called Summer Ale. Remember the Summer Ale that we had?
Yep.
And I was telling our old head of sales that we should make some more because people are loving it, and they sold out by June. You know, it's not, summer hadn't even started, they're pretty much sold out.
Oh.
So Oktoberfest is coming out. So, but the term has been thrown out there called seasonal creepage, where Oktoberfest started coming out from September, and then also, well, it's going to come out in August, and then it's coming out in July. So it's that seasonal creepage, which is really kind of hitting hard with this brand, or this style, and there's quite a few out right now, and it's what, the 11th?
Yeah, of August.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
It's almost like it's as far as beer seasons go, it's almost like a holiday in between summer and fall, because I think people will still have a fall seasonal that wasn't necessarily the Oktoberfest. Whereas in y'all's case, usually, but I shouldn't even say that. Sometimes there's the Cranky Woodsman, like we'd have these other beers that had more dark flavors, roasty coffee,
and like the Stickel.
Yeah. Something about this beer though makes it, okay to drink it in the summertime. I would argue if you're a lager fan, there's no real Oktoberfest season.
No, it's just a nice malty lager, and if you're in a mood for it,
right,
grab one, take it.
Yeah, and usually kind of the unofficial launch, I feel like, of Summit Oktoberfest is the state fair, but now we've got Oktoberfest. Sure. So I love that you guys are kind of like, well, let's just like...
I think, this is about the time when we've always kind of released it officially at the tap room. But yeah, like definitely, I really don't really embrace it until state fair, because that's coming up.
Yeah.
It'll be coming up in a couple weeks, and I just actually looked at the calendar the other day and I kind of went, oh, crap moment. State fair's in 2 weeks,
Yeah. As soon as you start talking about the state fair, summer's almost over.
Summer's almost over. Next thing you know, it's whatever. It's Oktoberfest season.
So let's talk about Summit's Oktoberfest. And first, show the people the logo on this mug, because this has a lot to do with how this beer gets made here. Tell me the story of your brew house.
This mug came from the Herner Brewery in Ansbach, Germany. And I bought this online on an auction site. And that actually is the brewery that we got our brewing equipment from. They closed back in the early 90s, I believe. A larger brewery out of Nuremberg, Tucher, they bought Herner, and they were producing the beer at Ansbach for quite a bit. And then they finally saw that it just wasn't making dollars and cents, so they shuttered the brewery. And fast forward, Mark's looking for a brew house. He's going to build this new brewery here, and they did some searching, and one of his friends found out that brewery is for sale. So Mark went over there for almost 2 months and dismantled the brew house, put it in shipping containers, and sent it over here. One of the things that happened was the control panel, the shipping container that the control panel was in, was dropped at the Port of Milwaukee. So we got a state-of-the-art automated system designed after that accident.
Okay.
So it really kind of helped us out.
A little hybrid of old and new.
Yeah. So it's a 2 mash kettle. It's a full-on decoction system. It's a German brew house, so 2 mash kettles, lauter ton, brew kettle, whirlpool. And
Copper.
It's all copper. It's built in 1971 by Zeeman. Zeeman is still around now. They're still making quite a few brew houses. I'm not sure who's bought one locally recently, but they're still in business. And it's kind of funny. There's a doctor from can't remember if it's the VLB in Berlin or the Munich University in Freising, the Weinstefan Institute. But one of the doctor instructors I was talking to at a conference said that he did his training on our system back in the 70s
At the original
in
site.
Ansbach, yeah. So I'm talking to this famous German brewing professor. He's like, "Oh, I worked on your brew kettles." And I'm like, "I think I've made more work on these brew kettles than you did."
Tell me about Summit's recipe approach to this style and maybe how it differs from kind of the range that you'll find this style.
Yeah, we're doing a pretty much full-on Marzen style. So it's the maltier, darker version as opposed to, like, right now the festbiers seem to be we're getting some more traction. Our style came out, I'm not sure when we first made it, but our former brewmaster Horace Cunningham came up with a recipe for it, and that the first year that it came out, it clocked in at 7.7% ABV, and we had a party here that fall, and let's just say it didn't taste like 7.7 ABV.
Yeah.
And there were some people that they got in a little bit of trouble. but Horace always said, it's like, it's for a festival, for a party, so you want to make a beer for a party. But we toned it down because the sales guys saying you can only sell so many pints. People only have so many pints at the bar. They can't do like a session of 7.7s. So we kind of toned it down and mellowed it out a little bit. But yeah, it's full on malt. I wouldn't say a malt bomb, but some people would consider it a malt bomb.
Yeah, I mean, it has a hop kind of crispness and layer to it, but I've always just thought, especially when you get that first one at the state fair, you're like, this is different than what we've been drinking all summer.
Yeah.
You get away from hoppy, you get away from crisp, and you really get into this velvety kind of malt zone.
Yeah.
That, like you said, is surprisingly crushable.
Yeah, it is surprisingly crushable, especially at the fair.
What about the malts you guys choose to use to make this malt bomb?
Well, during COVID and the increase in prices of raw materials to bring them over, we really had to find a replacement for our Munich malt, because the increase from the German, for 2,000 pounds of Munich malt in a batch, that was cost quite a bit for shipping. So Brewer actually approached us from Shakopee, and they did a pilot run of some Munich malt. So we did back at the it was the CBC when it was held in Minneapolis. They gave us a couple totes to sample, and we made a one run of Maibach, and we really loved how the Munich malt turned out. So we got the Munich malt from Brewer actually right now.
Did not know that.
It's I would say it's not as I really like the Weyermann Munich malt. I mean, that's classic, but what Brewer did was pretty good, and we think it adds more drinkability to it. First year we used the raw Munich malt, and some people made comments like, "Wow, it just seems smoother." It's like, yeah, it's
interesting. Huh. So you brought up kind of the festbier, I guess is what we'll call this other style, the cousin of the Marzen. It's usually always lighter in color.
Yeah, it's almost like a turbo Helles. Something like that. It's a little more alcohol.
Not Maibach, not Helles.
Yeah. It's a turbo Helles.
So kind of talk about, I remember Nate Siatz made that one year, I believe.
Oh, that was great. Yeah,
for his
Unchained,
Unchained.
yeah.
But he brought it out in the spring, and I never heard of it. And you start doing this research, like, oh, that's kind of, is that what's being served now at the actual Oktoberfest?
Yes, yeah. For the most part, I don't think I've been to a tent that had a Marzen style at Oktoberfest. Pretty much all. I've been to Planner,
Really?
Lowenbräu, and Augustiner, and they've all been a hell or like a hell Oktoberfest or a festbier
Really?
style. Yeah.
Is that more back to that sessionability, you think? Or do you
I
think
think so.
people,
I
it's more of
think-
a flavor evolution palette?
The kind of some of the history I heard, I could totally be wrong. I'm not a historian on this.
Don't quote us.
But I think I heard it online somewhere, and so now I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
And but back in the 50s, I think one of the breweries was trying to come up with something new, and they were able to make some lighter styles. With brewing science brings other things, and someone introduced a lighter style at the Wiesen, that's the festival grounds in Munich. And so they made a lighter beer for their tent, and people just loved it. So all of them took up that style. But you can see that I know Planner does, but maybe Hofbräu and Hackerstorp, they do a Marzen as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's mostly for export.
That's what I was going to say. It comes here.
Yeah.
Or maybe other places.
It might be other places too, but
That's
yeah.
really interesting.
So you'll see like come the next month or two, Planner has both Wiesen and Marzen simultaneously.
And Wiesen is Weisen.
Yeah,
Not Weizen, but
Yeah.
Wiesen.
Wiesen.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I just remember it's not the V
Yeah.
is the main thing to know.
Yeah.
Don't
Wiesen
get it
is
confused with your
Wiesen,
Hefeweizen.
so it's Wiesen. So that's the name of the festival grounds in Munich. But yeah, we kind of stuck with the traditional Marzen style, and
I feel like that's what you get a lot, but you are starting to get people making both even
Yep.
during the season.
sure.
So real quick, I was talking to Andrew beforehand, and he was kind of reminding me that like you guys brew this to true style, to purist style. This gets brewed. He was like, yeah, I'm buying the ingredients for this in February so they can brew it in
yeah, we started
March.
brewing in March.
Marzen.
Yeah, we thought we'd get ahead of the curve, because usually, by April or May, we've got our springs going out, summer's going out, and we're just like, oh man, we got to start throwing some Oktoberfest in the tanks, because they got to sit in lager. Everything else for the most part is all ales, and you can turn those around pretty quickly, but this one's got to sit.
It ties up real estate.
And I kind of made a suggestion to Damo. I'm like, maybe we should start brewing a little earlier. And he's like, that's a good idea. So Andrew was saying, it's like, we started ordering the ingredients in February and started brewing in March. And we still have we just spun 4 brews today, and I think we still have 4 brews in the cellar. So we're not even done packaging yet.
So how many tanks is that for a year's worth?
We did 24 brews this year. So that's 12 of the small tanks or 6 of the big tanks, but we kind of mixed it up.
Okay. Man, that's a lot of Oktoberfest.
It is.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, we
if
ran
you're
out
not a
last-
sales guy, but is
we
this
ran
your
out
most
last year.
successful seasonal?
By far, yeah. Yeah, it's. I'm not
You don't
sure
need to
what
check the
are, but
numbers?
I think this is our number 3 beer that we make.
Yeah,
Yeah.
behind the flagships is Oktoberfest.
yeah.
God, it's just so important up here.
Yeah.
Lastly, there's a party about to kick off next door. I see a brat truck.
There's a party next door.
Oh,
man. Oh, it's
Oktoberfest. We're about to get
Oktoberfest.
augmented.
Augmented realities at Oktoberfest.
There's brats Foss keg, real quick. This is a fun concept. Like,
Yes, we bought 4 of these. They're wooden covered stainless steel kegs from Germany, from a company in Bamberg, Germany, home of Rauch beer. I'm going back in November. I can't wait. Anyhow, I digress. But so these kegs, what you do is you hook a pigtail up to the fermenter, and you fill them out of the Zwickel. So they're Zwickel beers, and they're not like cask beers. You don't add any. Well, we don't add any, because I think it'd be kind of like sacrilegious. But we don't add any flavorings to the Foss beers. We just straight out of the fermenter, so it's more of a Keller beer than a cask beer. So it's not conditioned in the keg, but it still has a little bit of the yeast in there. I think it's a little softer. I don't know. It's more fun.
it's almost like on third base, the beer tastes like this. And then at
Yeah,
home,
yeah.
it was clear, it was crystal clear and crisp, and all the centrifugal activities happened to it.
Centrifugal.
Fugal.
Centrifugal.
So yeah, I like the Keller beers or the Fass. You know, it's basically kind of like the German version of a cask, except like behind that wood, it's really just a stainless steel keg
Yeah,
to keep
we're-
it very safe.
We're not quite using full on wood kegs. Like some of the breweries will actually keep using some of the wood kegs, and they'll use them for special occasions. Like Augustiner in Munich, they ship them out to some of the surrounding areas of Munich. And I was just happened to walk into a bar in Freising, Germany, before I went to Oktoberfest one year, the Friday night before Oktoberfest started, and ran into just random folks, at this beer bar in Freising, and they're like, this one guy said, they have a Holz Fass keg, which Holz is wood, so a wood Fass keg of Augustiner Wiesen beer.
Man.
They're tapping at 8 p.m. I'm like, we're going. He's like, oh yeah, we're going. Yeah, we had fun at that place.
And we win.
Yeah, Augustiner is such a great beer, and to find that, just randomly, it's pretty sweet.
So from your brewer's mind, I don't want to pick your brain for like a ton of home brewer tips, but let's just say someone's really behind the 8 ball. It's now August, but they do want something in September or maybe October. What ale yeast would you ferment a Oktoberfest at to make kind of an ale-toberfest?
Well, then I just probably make some type of alt beer, But I think, seriously, I'm not kidding.
Okay.
You can kind of mask it as.
Is that kind of what it is almost?
Sort of.
Because alt beer
Think
is
about it.
also such a wide range. You are
Yeah.
basically making an alt beer that leans a specific way.
Yeah.
But you're saying just
Yeah.
alt beer.
Yeah, why not? That's what I would do.
But it doesn't answer the question. I'm trying to pick
No.
a brewer's brain about.
You just asked what I would do, and I told you what I would
That's
do.
okay. What would a brewery that didn't plan ahead well enough and brew in March that suddenly needs to turn around?
what do you think, characteristics from the yeast that you're looking for in the Marzen is? I don't know.
Who's asking the questions here?
Ooh.
You hear American ale a lot. You
Tables
hear
turn.
Kolsch. You actually hear alt beer, like
Yeah.
whatever yeast lab you like, their version of an alt beer. So I guess to your point, you answered the question, but you were like, "Why brew an Oktoberfest? Brew an alt beer."
Yeah.
So pitch the alt yeast is what Mikey is kind of saying between
it's
the lines.
Like if you're crushed on time, it's like, well, before we made Oktoberfest, alt beer was our fall seasonal.
True.
We had a 5 malt alt beer, which was fantastic, and there's nothing wrong with an alt beer. The only reason we stopped making alt beer was because we could not explain easily to the customers what an alt beer was, because everybody has heard of Oktoberfest, but they've never heard of alt beer, So the salespeople just said, we got to make an Oktoberfest.
And then you doubled down with your shtick alt when it came to the Unchained, and that son of a gun was darker, obviously, than the only almost like bordered on like past crimson brown.
Yeah, it
was
was
just so
deep,
rich.
deep ruby, mahogany. Would it be mahogany?
Maybe even deeper. I remember it being like pretty,
Ruby mahogany.
like
deep.
getting up towards porter, but
Yeah.
like, I can still see through it.
Yeah, you can get a tinge of red in it
Yeah.
when you put up the light. It may make it back to the tap room. I would want it to come back to the tap room. I wouldn't doubt it. But that beer turned out okay. What do you think?
Oh yeah. That was a very popular one to have from a boot.
Oh, we had checked out some of those old
We
videos.
passed a few boots around.
couple, 2 or 3.
On some shtick alt. All right, y'all. It's Oktoberfest season. Northern Brewers got extract and all grain kits. I hope you make it, and let us know your favorite Oktoberfest in the comments below. Your Oktoberfest riffs and modifications. We won't tell the Germans that you told us.
No.
Oak-aged Oktoberfest. Raspberry infused Oktoberfest.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Mikey's starting to roll over in his grave, and he's still standing here. What's
Mein
going
Gott
on?
in
Yeah.
Himmel.
All right, y'all. Proceed. Cheers.
Prost.
Labels out.